The Bible Coming Together by Brandon, Cash, and Jack. The first part of the Bible was the Old Testament written by the Jewish people over 2,000 years ago, before Christ, with tradition they had, and they wrote down these traditions in books. The way the books were communicated was through speaking with someone face to face, which is called oral tradition. And when Jesus commanded his apostles to spread his knowledge, this created the spreading of the gospel oral tradition. When the apostles started to spread the knowledge and understanding Jesus had given them, they wrote down some of these tradition in books, which became the New Testament. These were not written by apostles alone, but also by eyewitnesses to Jesus' life. From early on, the church had decided books to use at Mass, whether they were books written by the apostles or if they were written from oral tradition. They generally agreed on what books to read, most read from the Septuagint, but there were still challenges. When Constantine made Christianity legal in 313, it allowed the bishops to begin organizing the church. They decided that for the canonical books of the New Testament, they would share three characteristics: apostolic origin, books from eyewitnesses of Jesus; universal acceptance, books that had to be accepted by the wider community; and liturgical use. They had to be used within the context of worship. In the 16th century, the Protestant Reformation made it necessary to declare the official canon of Scripture. Protestants removed some of books in the Old Testament, 7 books in total, that were not authentic because they were written in Greek. They believed that only books written in Hebrew were inspired by God. This made it so Catholics had 7 more books in the Bible than Protestant groups. The books of the Old Testament were written in Hebrew and Greek, while the New Testament was written only in Greek. This was not because of the holy languages, but because that was the language spoken at the time. As the church spread throughout the world, translations became important to make it accessible to other people. For example, the translation into Latin allowed the Roman Empire access to the Bible. While translating Scripture, they found difficulties in keeping Scripture completely accurate. Most words did not translate directly into the new language, so translators had to decide if they wanted to literally translate or to do a dynamically equivalent translation. Literal translations attempted to replace the word from the original word into the new language, but the actual meaning could be taken away. Dynamically equivalent translation was when they would use different words to preserve the deep meaning of the original. This is all important to know because when you pick up a Bible, it may be difficult to interpret the meaning of what you are reading. By knowing about the different ways of translations or understanding who wrote the New Testament, it can provide insight into what you are reading and creates a better level of knowledge. This was made by us.